Ain't it wild how we can see everybody else so clearly, and yet we barely even understand ourselves? Like, we'll notice when somebody else is being arrogant, or they're being fake, or they're being lazy, but then we'll miss the ways we do the same things, just in different forms. Like, we'll judge somebody for always needing attention while we're doing our own version of it, chasing validation, needing to feel important, needing to be right, whatever it is. And that's the blind spot. We always think we're being honest with ourselves, but most of the time, we're really just reacting and defending our ego. You see, because logic is never the mind's first move, protection is. And here's what I mean by that. When somebody calls you out and you instantly start defending yourself, or when a friend tells you a truth that kind of stings, but you flip it back on them and you say that they don't know what they're talking about, or when somebody gives you feedback that you don't like and you just shut down instead of, listening to what they have to say. That's not logic. That's what we call ego protection. Your mind is trying to protect the version of you that you believe you are. And here's what that does. When your mind's focused on protecting your image, which is your ego, you stop hearing the truth. And that's why you keep ending up in the same situations. New relationships, new jobs, same arguments, same excuses. You can say that you're just standing up for yourself, but really, you're just defending the version of you that doesn't want to be challenged. And that's how people stay stuck in their life, fighting to be right instead of getting better. And underneath all that ego is fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of changing, fear of admitting that maybe you've been in your own way. I hope you really hear this. Self-awareness isn't about judging yourself. It's about being real enough to stop defending your limits. You ever notice how easy it is to see what's wrong with everybody else and how hard it is to see it in yourself? That's not just ego. That's blindness. We live inside our own perspective, so everything we do feels reasonable, even when it's not. And that's why people keep defending the same behavior. That's why somebody will ruin a relationship and say, yeah, but if they hadn't, whatever, right? The mind doesn't register that as lying. It feels like the truth to you because it's protecting your story. And the part that people miss is it's not that you can't see it differently, that you can't see someone else's perspective. It's that you don't want to. You don't ask yourself, could I be wrong? No, you start proving why you're right. And that is when you stop growing. That's when awareness just shuts off. And the problem for most people is that self-awareness isn't comfortable. It's confrontational because it forces you to stop defending yourself and actually look at your behavior. You can't change what you already justified. The more that you defend your version of the story, the deeper you get stuck in it. And the deeper that you get stuck, the longer that you're going to keep repeating the same patterns in your life. Here's what happens when you don't cultivate self-awareness. You keep reliving the same lessons. The same patterns just keep showing up in your life. You get in a relationship, it's going great, but then the arguments come. The same ones that you've had in every other relationship. They say they don't feel appreciated. They tell you you're emotionally unavailable. And you get defensive. You say, I'm just busy. Or you tell them that they're overreacting. Weeks go by, the conversations get shorter, the energy feels off, and then comes I just need space. And then you're left wondering how you ended up right back here in the same place, yet again. Different person, different relationship, but the same ending. It's the same story at work, right? You start a new job, new team, clean slate, but a few months in, the same frustrations show up, the same burnout, the same resentment, because you carried the same mindset into it. You blame the people, you blame the job, you blame the situation, but the common denominator is you. You project your insecurities, you deflect responsibility, and you convince yourself that you're the only one doing things right. But you can't fix what you refuse to take responsibility for. And if you don't take responsibility, then your outcomes are never going to change. And if you don't face yourself, Life will send people who will. You ever notice how certain people just piss you off? Or you meet somebody and instantly feel that tension, like they just rub you the wrong way? That ain't random. Your reaction to them is saying something about you. Most of the time, it's not even about them. It's your subconscious pointing at something in you that you haven't wanted to deal with, or that you didn't even know was there. That's called projection, and it's automatic. You don't decide to do it. Your mind just does it for you. It's how the ego protects itself. Instead of letting you see your own flaws or fears, it projects them onto somebody else. You'll call somebody lazy, but you're avoiding the things that you know that you should be doing. Or you'll say somebody's arrogant because you just wish that you had the same confidence that they do. Or here's another one. You'll call somebody selfish, but quietly to yourself, you're keeping score of everything that you do for everybody else. And you know, we're all a little bit hypocritical like that, but most of it just happens underneath our awareness. But that's your mind trying to get your attention. It points out your blind spots, just not directly. So it uses other people to show you what you're avoiding in yourself. The truth is, what annoys you about other people usually lives inside of you. And definitely, awareness of that won't fix other people, but it will change how you respond to them. And once you understand that, even criticisms hit different, because you realize most of what people project onto you ain't got nothing to do with you at all. It's just their own unhealed shit reflecting back to them through you. So how do you become more self-aware of your own thoughts and behaviors? Well, I'll tell you this, self-awareness ain't something that you just get. It's something that you have to practice every day. And it starts with observation. You ain't got to fix everything. Just start noticing. Notice how you react to certain situations. What pisses you off? Where do you shut down? That's the data that your mind's been giving you. And then look at the behavior that keeps repeating in your life. If you keep getting angry over the little things or snapping at people for no real reason, it's usually not about that moment. So you got to ask yourself, what's really making me angry here? Maybe it's stress that you've been ignoring. Maybe it's frustration that's been building up for weeks. But instead of facing that, you just blow up on the guy who cut you off in traffic, as if you've never done that to somebody else. The next thing you need to do is you need to reflect often. You need to get real familiar with the moments that your blood pressure raises, when you start getting angry or when you start getting defensive. You need to start noticing it. Next thing, you can get somebody close to you to give you some feedback. Just ask somebody that you trust and that you're close to, what's it like being on the other side of me? Now, you better prepare yourself and you better drop your ego, because that question is going to humble you. And it's probably going to trigger the same reaction that we're trying to fix. But the real breakthrough, learning to pause before you react. Because awareness without action don't mean shit. Every time you catch yourself mid blow up and then you choose a different response or no response, that's progress. That's you reprogramming your subconscious in real time. That's how you become intentional instead of reactionary. That's how you go from a life of chaos to a life of clarity. And when you start becoming more self-aware, everything gets more obvious. You stop reacting to every little thing. You stop letting people pull you into their drama. You stop wasting energy, trying to prove yourself or explain yourself to people. You start catching yourself before you spiral. You start thinking before you speak. You start seeing these patterns as they happen instead of after you've already blown it all up. And that's really what self-awareness gives you. It gives you control. It gives you control over yourself. It gives you control over your reactions. Because once you know yourself, you don't need validation. You don't need approval. And you don't lose your peace every time something don't go your way. So why don't more people do this? Why aren't more people self-aware? Because self-awareness sucks at first. It forces you to see that you were the problem in situations that you used to blame other people for. It makes you see the patterns that you've been living in. And by patterns, what I mean like when you get angry or when you get defensive, or when you start explaining yourself instead of just listening. Most people would rather stay blind and feel right than see the truth and feel responsible. That's why they stay stuck. They'd rather protect their ego than fix their life. But here's what happens when you actually live this out. You stop reacting to everything around you. You realize events are neutral. You put the meaning on it. Next thing is you slow down. You think before you speak. You start moving with intention instead of emotion. And you stop taking everything so personally. You stop assuming that life's just out to get you. And you stop using every problem as proof that life's unfair. Then your life starts to change because you finally stop fighting everything outside of you and started taking control of what's inside of you. You can't build the 10.0 version of you with the same blind spots of the 1.0 version of you. You can't change what you refuse to acknowledge. Cultivating self-awareness is the foundation of everything that comes next. Discipline, consistency, peace, success. It's how you take back control of your life. So you need to start today. Notice your reactions. Catch the pattern before it takes over. And you have to ask yourself, is this who I want to keep being? Because the more aware that you become, the more powerful that you'll get. If you're ready to go deeper into this work, take my free 5-day reset. It's called the Rebuild. And it's the foundation that helps you break these patterns and rebuild from the inside out. I'll put the link in the description. Next up in this series is one that's difficult for everybody to listen to: forgiveness. It's the hardest part, but it's the most freeing part of rebuilding your life. So don't miss that one. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.